Jarrett Allen.
The Cleveland Cavaliers advance to the second round of the NBA playoffs with a decisive win over the Toronto Raptors, 114 to 102. And like Noah said, it was on the back of Jarrett Allen in quarter number 3. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave us a voicemail, give us a call, tell us what you thought, 216-260-3433. There is so much to love in that game 7 that we watched last night. But first and foremost, Jarrett Allen had himself a game. He was aggressive. He was decisive. He had a double-double in the third quarter alone. The man went off, and I was here for it.
I was here for it too, E. I mean, I was, of course, at the game because I do work for the team. And the MVP chants were probably my favorite moment of the night when the Fro went to the line and then he'd go miss 2 free throws because he's horrible at free throws. But that's besides the point. Jarrett Allen went off 22 points, 19 rebounds, 2 assists, went 7 for 11 from the field, had himself a game. And Donovan Mitchell was speaking to the crowd after the game. Like he was the interview with Serena Winters that the crowd gets to hear. And he didn't even talk about himself. He was like, y'all need to give it up for Jarrett Allen because he had himself a day. And let me tell you, asshole Jarrett Allen, when he gets feisty, when we have moments like this, let me roll a clip real quick, where he gets in a fight and he's talking to the Raptors and he's telling them to go home and pointing for them to go home. Go home. Oh my God. It was such a fun game. The atmosphere was insane. And I'm back to being a little warm on our Cavs. I'm not hot, but I'm warm. I'm feeling good. This was a feel-good win. We dominated in the second half. I don't know what Kenny Atkinson said to them to finally get them to turn the page, but MVP Jarrett Allen, that's who we have today.
Yeah, his 22 points tied his own personal record for a playoff game as well. And he talked about it in his postgame on NBC. He said that it was all about being aggressive. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing here from memory, but that they wanted to be aggressive, and they did exactly that. They attacked. Again, a tale of two halves. The end of the second, or the first half rather, they were in it. They tied it obviously at 49 going into the half. But this Cavs team, when they're aggressive like this, they play good defense, don't get me wrong, but when they're aggressive like this team is going to be tough to beat. We just have yet to see it in 4 quarters, and yet we've yet to see it in consecutive games even. Like, we don't see the aggressiveness as much as we should. If they can tie that together in 4 quarters and string a couple games together, they could very well go to the finals.
They could indeed, and the pathway is wide open. I know we'll get to that in the future matchup towards the end of this video. I want to stick on Jarrett Allen for a second because there was another good quote that Spida gave the crowd when he was talking post-game that I just thought of, I just remembered, and I think it's important to highlight. But he was talking about how Jarrett Allen has become much more vocal in the locker room, becoming a vocal leader in this group, being a little bit of a hard ass, which, first of all, I never thought, our Nintendo loving PC building Jarrett Allen would ever have this, but he has unlocked a new notch in his belt in terms of being aggressive, in terms of being a leader, in terms of being that guy. And when Jarrett Allen plays like this, and Jarrett Allen has the confidence of what he's had since James Harden's come here, this team is scary and this team is dangerous. And if Jarrett Allen continues to build on what was a fantastic MVP game 7, this could be a fun run for us. I'm not going to go crazy and be overconfident because I was really upset that this series went 7, but Jarrett Allen gave us all and then some in this game, and I'm really excited to see what that looks like for the Pistons in round 2.
Yeah, I do want to shout out a few other guys real quick, but to your point, in soccer they have something called the man of the match, like in the Premier League. He would be the man of the match had they did that for a game 7 here. But a few other guys that I want to shout out as well, real quick. Starting with Sam Merrill. He put in a performance last night, 13 points, but he was big, putting up those threes for us, as well as Max Strus. He did well as well. But Jalen Tyson was kind of the quiet one of the game. He put in solid minutes, not necessarily points. I think he had 7 points, but his defense. He is that guy, just like Schroeder. They come in, they can give you like spicy defense when you need it. And I like the two of them a lot. Evan Mobley, Harden, of course, Mitchell, also had fine games. Mitchell, though, has been getting off to a slow start. By the way, I really like that each Mitch and Harden are getting time on the bench. You can rest them. They weren't looking great either, frankly. I think that was more what it was. But you could send them to the bench, bring in some guys that make a difference, and then obviously each of them have come out and provided an explosion when we needed it. And that's exactly what I think this team needs to do. Conserve them, conserve their minutes when you can and when they're not on. And then they're going to turn it around because those are the superstars on the team, of course.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, I think it was funny because you were very grumpy about Donovan to start, and then he kind
I
of turned
was.
his game around, ended with 22 points, had himself a solid day. It wasn't like a crazy, 40, 50, 60, 70. I can say 70 when it comes to Donovan Mitchell point game. But he contributed. He scored when we needed him to. He was hitting some threes. We were god awful from three. I mean, I think we were at
Mhm.
like 28%. Let me look again real quick. Yeah, we basically tied them at 3-point percentage at 28%. But Spida has slowly gotten back into the groove of things. He started this series really sloppy, really slow, not great. And between the third, really the fourth in game 6 and game 5, and now in game 7, Donovan Mitchell took care of business for the most part. You mentioned the
But
benching.
hold
Go
on.
ahead.
I want to talk about Mitchell for just a second because what is going on in these first halves? First of all, he was 9 for 20 and 2 for 9 from 3, which is not, I mean, he was getting open looks from 3 that he was
Yeah.
missing, which is very weird to me. Um but the thing that frustrates me the most, especially against this Toronto Raptors team, this Toronto team, their defense was fantastic. They are collapsing well, they are playing zone well. I mean, they were doubling up, and I was screaming like, "There's 2 ways that you beat that, right?" But the primary way, we're playing iso ball or whatever, but if Donovan Mitchell drives the lane, he's either gonna be fouled or he's gonna find a guy in the corner. He didn't do that enough, not for me anyway, and that was really frustrating because number 1, that's the area of his game that he's best at, you would argue. Number 2, like, it was there for him, and I just didn't understand why he wasn't attacking or as aggressive as, most people would expect him to be. Obviously, the game was flowing through Jarrett Allen and flowing through Evan Mobley for large parts of it, but when you're Donovan Mitchell and you're, playing iso ball essentially, you gotta attack the rim and attack the hoop because you're gonna be at the stripe most of the night. That's how Harden had most of his points.
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with you. But this is a step in the right direction when it comes to Donovan Mitchell. I think this game was, and really the second half of this full 7 game series. And the thing I wanted to respond to too was you were talking about the benching and them being able to sit on the bench. I mean, the fact that Donovan Mitchell only had to play 35 minutes at a game 7 and a game you win, at one point you were up 20, you win the game by 12. That's a really good sign in terms of trying to keep Spider, trying to keep Harden, even the two bigs, keeping them healthy as we continue to go on throughout this playoffs. And of course, lineups tighten up quite a bit as well. There's a lot of theories out there about maybe Donovan Mitchell being hurt. The favorite one's concussion because he's been wearing sunglasses during his interviews or whatever. I don't think any of that's true. I just think he's a human and he's a little slow right now, and he's going to pick it up as we hopefully continue to drive deeper and deeper into this playoffs and make some of the noise we've been hoping and praying that this team could do for years now.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Donovan Mitchell is that he just gets too passive at times. It's normally in the first half. He's solid in the second half, almost always. And this goes back last year, the year before. Like we've seen this out of him, and maybe he's conserving himself so that he can go all out in a series that needs it. Maybe this series didn't need it. You and I talked about it a little bit. I felt a little better about the Cavs knowing that Boston lost Game 7 to Philly, knowing that Detroit went to a game 7. Orlando didn't show up for that game, but
Yeah.
that was anybody's series. I mean, Banchero, if he had his way, he was playing lights out. I think he had like 38 last night or yesterday afternoon. But my point is, like, I feel better. The East is wide open. The question is, can we take advantage of that wide openness and actually make something happen? I think the Knicks at this point might be the team to beat. And we're going to turn ahead, obviously, to series in a minute. But first, a word from our sponsor. At the Office is brought to you by Rambler Reserve.
And we're wearing the hats right now.
We are wearing the hats right now, and honestly, this might be one of the best looking things I've put on my head in years.
Rambler Reserve is a Cleveland apparel brand based on history for people who love this city and just can't shut up about it.
So, us?
Us, exactly. Whether it be hats, tees, hoodies, you're going to the game, or you're going to the Muni lot. It's perfect apparel for any Cleveland fan out there.
If your friends say you ramble too much about sports, just own it. Head on over to ramblerreserve.com and use code ATO10 to get 10% off your order.
That's ATO10. ATO like at the office 10, ramblerreserve.com.
And just like in that promo, we're still wearing the hats because they look gorgeous, I gotta say. So make sure you head on over there and pick up some merch for yourself. Noah, I do want to look ahead a little bit to this Pistons matchup, but before we get there, was there anything from Game 7, anything else that you wanted to cover?
Yeah, so this was a hot talking point, at least from what I saw on Twitter, on X, and that was Dennis Schroeder getting a little frustrated with our star player Donovan Mitchell. You could see here Donovan Mitchell turns over the ball, goes the other way, and Schroeder has the help back defense and gets scored on, and he is yelling and upset at Donovan Mitchell. Do you put any level of concern into this? I personally don't. I think this is a good sign because we're holding everyone accountable, not just, role players. Even the stars are on the chopping block. I think this is a good sign personally.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this. Honestly, this is what I like about Dennis Schroeder. I've always been a Schroeder fan. I shouldn't say always. I didn't really follow him through his 11 teams, but when he was at Atlanta and we were playing
Yeah.
them in Kyle Korver, like I liked those two guys a lot. They were kind of the quieter ones of that team. But they put in work, and now both of them, of course, played for the Cavs. I think this is just Schroeder's. He comes in and he's a competitor. Like he competes. That's what you expect out of him. That's all I think it is. And I don't think Mitchell, I think he shrugs that stuff off like, okay, let's move on. But they're competitors, man. And Schroeder among them, he is maybe one of the most fiery guys on this team. You see him even when he's on the bench, like he gets so fired up if you hit a three or whatever. Like he's the first one jumping up and yelling. I think that's just him and his personality. So I wouldn't read too much into it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, again, it's a good sign. You see players, regardless of their status on the team, how long they've been here, holding each other accountable. It means we care. It means we're bought in together. We want better effort out of everybody. Donovan could have gave better effort. He could have got back on defense instead of lazing around in the other side of the court, which is
Yeah.
what happened there. I know you can't see it with the camera. And then there was a clip after the fact that him and Mitchell were like talking through like a game plan, like a play. They were like talking about passing. You could see with the animation of their hands. So I'm not worried about this being a thing. If anything, it's let's get our shit together and keep pushing forward because we have a new matchup, a familiar matchup that we have to worry about now too.
Yeah, we do have a new matchup in round two, and that is the Detroit Pistons, who are the number one seed and are no slouch. They are obviously riding a 3-game winning streak. They went down 3-1, but they came back, stormed back. Game 7 wasn't much of a game. The Cavs, on the other hand, obviously, they weren't able to win a road game, and they looked like a team that was scared to lose instead of one that wanted to win. Game 7 was a little different. They got a little more aggressive. So the question is, of these two teams, who's going to come out on top and out of the gate storming? I will say that they tied 2-2 in the season series. So if you think there's anything worth gleaning from those series, there isn't, frankly.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because we talked about it on the show the last time we played the Pistons, because I think we were just ready to talk some Cavs. And, there was a lot of smoke and fire about us saying, Detroit's not on our level, basically talking shit, which this Cavs team rarely ever does, but it happened. It was there. Obviously, there's the storyline of our former coach being there, JB Bickerstaff. So
Mhm.
this is a series I've been excited for just as a fan of sports, right? Because you have all of the storylines and then some. The former coach, a team that wasn't supposed to be a one seed, that is a one seed with an amazing record of 60 and 22, all of the things. And then, of course, you have a team that has some allegations on their name still of soft, not wanting it enough, blase, blase, blah, that had the gall and the cojones, for lack of a better term, to basically say we're better than them. We feel that we're better than them. So To me, this is going to be a really fun series, and I hope we don't embarrass ourselves. I hope we do and act how we said we feel about this team.
Yeah, the problem for me is the series against Toronto, and Toronto's a good young team, don't get me wrong, but it was this series of attrition and it was pretty even. And then Brandon Ingram exits, of course, and Scotty Barnes was injured and then had foul trouble in game 7. So I wonder, what this Cavs team is going to look like when they face real adversity. That said, a healthy-ish Toronto team in game 1 and 2, the Cavs smoked. So, like, I don't know where to put this team right now still. It's kinda hard to gauge them. That said, it took the Pistons all 7 games as well, and they're the number 1 seed. So, I think that speaks to them as well. Did we learn anything about the Cavs or about the Pistons that should carry forward to the next series? I think if anything, we learned that both teams are vulnerable. They're vulnerable to ball pressure, to length on the wings, to teams that can get physical. That's always been the issue with Cleveland. You alluded to it. That said, I think that any team that challenges us physically, they have a chance to go on and advance. And that's what scares me the most about the Pistons or about any future matchup. We don't do well with that physicality. Now, I want to say that this is some of the worst officiating I've seen in a long time in professional sports. I don't understand how fouls are called, first of all. I don't understand how you can go like, I get it, you let them play a little more, but when Toronto was, like, literally throwing a shove into our defender to create space, like, that's a clear offensive foul. They swallow their whistle. So, they're letting them play. That doesn't bode as well for Cleveland, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I think this is a matchup Cleveland likes. I think we can score better than them. I think we match up well with them. And that's what ultimately gives them this confidence. This, and of course, maybe a little smugness and wanting to, stick it to their former coach and JB Bickerstaff, who obviously got fired from Cleveland and then went on over to Detroit and has done with their young core what he did with our young core at one time. Um, It'll be interesting to see how this series plays out. I'm confident that the Cavs will get past Detroit because I think we are the better team, just as I was confident that the Cavs will get past Toronto because they were the better team. Now, did it go exactly how I thought? No, I thought they'd handle it in 6. We had to go the full 7. What that looks like in terms of this Detroit series, I don't know. I think this could be something where it's as early as 5 games because we're much better than the Magic even, and it took them 7 games to beat the Magic. But you could say the same thing about us. In terms of the paper, in terms of what the playoff record this four has shown, it looks like the very, very even matchup, right? But to me, it comes down to experience, and that's what the Cavs have right now.
I think the Cavs' advantage is gonna be on the outside. I think when we run, the lineups that go away from Mobley and Allen, and I get it, Allen just had a phenomenal game 7, like, the Pistons are really good in the paint. And don't get me wrong, I think Cunningham's a superstar in this league. I think he's gonna get his,
He is. Yeah.
but they can't really shoot beyond the arc, and that's where Cleveland has a clear advantage. We have Strus and Tyson and Merrill. I mean, even Dean Wade, he's a little hesitant, but he's pretty rock solid when he's shooting. Keon Ellis, if he gets some time, like we have guys that can go out and punish you beyond the arc. And I think that's where our distinct advantage is going to come from. The Pistons are going to be physical and they're going to score in the paint. But the math is pretty simple. As long as we don't go ice freaking cold, we should have a distinct advantage there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think our scoring's there. It's Cade Cunningham and friends over there. It's Donovan Mitchell and James Harden and Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley and you could talk about our role players. And I'm not discrediting the Pistons roster by any means. So if there's Pistons fans now that we're posting this video in the comments, I am not discrediting what you've done this season. I am not discrediting your roster. I just think, and you basically said it with some statistics and some names to back it up, that the Cavs are the better built, more established team right now, despite what their seeding says. And that's what gives me confidence to the fact that I think that they'll take care of business and move on to the conference finals. But we'll see. Both teams have had to go the distance in round one. The East is as wide open as I think I've ever seen a basketball conference be open in at least my lifetime. So it'll be really interesting to see out of these two, big names. I think two of the biggest names in the East, regardless of what you think of what their first round goes. Who comes out on top and who really is the team to move forward? Who was right about JB Bickerstaff? That's the question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really interesting to see the lineups that we run too. Like, I don't think we want Mobley and Allen on the floor at the same time together for the most part. I don't know. I'm gonna be fascinated what Coach Atkinson comes up with here and how that changes. He's not afraid to make changes to this lineup. He's not
No.
afraid to sit guys. That's what I like most about Atkinson. But I'm excited. The action will start Tuesday at 7 p.m. So we'll be able to watch them Tuesday and then Thursday. Both of those games will be in Detroit, followed by the first home game back in Cleveland on Saturday. So plenty of Cavs basketball upcoming.
Two questions for you. We'll start with the first one. Starting lineup, are you keeping Dean Wade in there?
No, I don't think I start Dean Wade. I think I start Max Struess in his place, to be honest with you. Dean Wade only had 5 points in game seven. I get it, the defense, but Struess put up some good minutes for us. He has that, like when he gets that bite or that bit in his mouth, however you want to call it, like he gets aggressive. He's like the Schroeder of this team as well. So I think I go with Max Struess.
Yeah, I disagree completely. I think you stick with Dean Wade because of the defense. You have four guys that can eat already there on the court. Having Dean Wade be there to be a pick and pop, you know what I mean? Hit a three here and there and play defense and clamp up some of their better players over in Detroit. I think you roll with Dean Wade. The lineup, the rotation, how it went down basically with the nine players they played. I mean, you say Struess still played 31, but he came off the bench. That gives him time to get his while the stars aren't all on the court. Uh, Dean Wade only played 21 minutes despite being a starter. So to me, I think what we saw in game seven moving forward makes the most sense. Same thing with Schroeder,
Really?
even though he went,
Like,
yeah,
what did you see from Dean Wade in game seven? He had 5 points. He went 2 for 5 from field goals. He had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. When you look at Max Struess, who had 12 points, he went 4 from 10, but he was 8 rebounds and 5 assists, or I'm sorry, 2 steals. Like the line is just so much better for Struess. And what I saw with the eye test was better too.
no, it's more than the statistics, Eric. It's about the defense. It's
I
about
watched
what
the
Dean
game,
Wade.
Noah. I'm talking about what I watched.
I
Did
watched
you
the
watch
game
it?
too, and I think it.
You worked
Yes,
the
I did.
game.
Well,
How much did you watch?
I was at the whole game. I was at the stadium.
Mm,
Yeah, no, you can't
so
discredit
were the
me from that. I
concession
watched.
workers. I don't think they saw much of it though. But go on.
I'm not a concession worker. Anyway, I think Dean Wade makes the most sense to be in the starting lineup moving forward. That may piss off Cavs fans because he's not everyone's favorite because of the statistics, because of some of the things that you're pointing out right now. I think that's totally fair. But how this rotation worked, how everything played out in game seven, I think makes the most sense with the nine players they played. That was Merrill, Schroeder, Struess, and Tyson coming off the bench. You start Dean Wade. The minute distribution, I think, makes the most sense. I think they run this back at least for the first two games and see what it does in terms of the defensive impact on, their main scorers like Cunningham.
By the way, you make the point that like this was the lineup to go with, this starting lineup. Our first quarter was atrocious. Like atrocious.
Did
We
they win the
were in a
game?
oh, don't change the goal
Did
line
they win
now.
the No, did they win the game,
Yeah, and
Eric?
who
Did
was
they
out
win the
there when they
game?
won most of the game?
Schroeder
It
and
was
Jarrett
not
Allen
Dean
was on the
Wade.
bench. Okay, but that's the point. You start with that to set the tempo. And even if they lose or they don't have a great first quarter, that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you play four quarters,
So,
Eric.
how does setting the tempo mean having a terrible first quarter? Like everything you're saying doesn't make sense, but okay, whatever. Like we can agree to
No,
disagree. It just doesn't
that's
make
fine.
logical sense.
Let us know down in the comments. Are you starting Struess or are you starting Dean Wade in game one? Because I think I'm pretty lockstep and solid in Dean Wade being the starter moving forward for this playoff run. And Eric disagrees adamantly.
Lockstep with who?
The head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Because he started game 7?
And he
The
started most of the
short-sightedness in this
series.
conversation is wild.
That's
Let's
that's
move
not
on though.
short-sightedness.
How many games who do you have first of all in round 2 and how many games does it take?
Cavs in six. I'm going to continue to stick with Cavs in six as my answer for the entire playoffs come until the finals if we make it that far. Cavs in six.
I like Cavs in 6 as well. I hope they can get it done in 5, a little gentleman sweep, but I have them in 6 as well.
Do you think, say it does go that bad, how do you think the win losses stack up? Like I think they take game 1. Just because of their confidence and the last time they played they beat Detroit. Do you think it goes 1-1 going into Cleveland and then maybe 1-1 there and then they go back and forth? Like where do you see this kind of balancing out?
It's a good question. They obviously can't go down 2-0.
Right.
At the very least, I expect like, I could see them go into Detroit, though, and win both the games and come out 2-0, and then we're talking something I don't know, like, I could see it either way, it depends what team we see. I would say 1-1, a split, I would be happy with. Taking both games at home, to go up 3-1, and then, splitting the next 2 in Detroit. Or 1 and
Yeah.
1, it'd be Detroit, then Cleveland.
I got what you meant. I think the viewers did too. I think it'll be something to the effect of 1-1, then 1-1. So 2-2 coming out of it, and both teams taking one on the away court. And then you kind of have a battle from there, whether it be Cleveland sweeps them in the next two or we have to go seven. I do think Detroit does win at least a game in this series. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's almost a for sure certain. I don't think a sweep is even remotely in my mind for
I'd
this
be
series or
shocked.
any series. Yeah, any series for the Cavs at this point. Not because I don't think they can, just because that's how even spread I think the Eastern Conference and even potentially the finals will be for this Cavs in any type of route that they have to take whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I would be shocked at a sweep. I'd be happy with a sweep, but I'd be pretty
Right.
shocked with a sweep. Who do you think is coming out of the other side? You have the New York Knicks, obviously. They took care of business better than anybody, and you have Detroit, or I'm sorry, you have the Sixers rather. That honestly, if Joel Embiid is playing the way Joel Embiid can play, like I don't know who stops him.
I kind of lean the Sixers only because of them beating Boston. That's a nice hot streak, a nice notch in their belt to continue to move forward. I don't think the Knicks are that formidable, in my opinion, despite the fact that they did handle business better than anyone else did in the East in round one. Give me the Sixers in another scrappy, long 7 game series. That's kind of where I'm at. Where are you?
I lean the other way, honestly. I don't think the Sixers can piece as many games together to get it done. And I think Carl Anthony Towns would like a word. Jalen Brunson obviously is the star of New York, but I think Cat is the one to look for, especially in this series.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll be watching that series closely, of course, hoping and praying for a future series in the Eastern Conference Finals against either one of those teams. And it's exciting to be back in the swing of feeling at least a little bit competent. I think warm is the best way to describe how I feel about the Cavs. I'm not hot on them, but I'm warm. They took care of business in game 7 and really looked dominant in the entire second half. And that's all you can ask for. They had a little bit of adversity. They got punched in the mouth. They maybe got punched in the mouth twice in Toronto in game 3 or 4, and they took care of business. They could have laid down. They could have rolled over. They could have died. They could have let it go, and they could be in Cancun right now. No, we're on to round 2. We're on to hopefully bigger and better things for the wine and gold.
Yeah, they really punched Toronto out when Dean Wade was no longer on the floor. On that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.